Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Tim Montague, and this is CU150, the show about technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship in Illinois. I'm joined today by Dennis Beard of Serra Ventures. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Well, thanks, Tim. Happy to be here.
Really happy to have Serra on the show. You're our first true service provider to come on the show. We usually have entrepreneurs, but we welcome the greater ecosystem of companies and individuals that support technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And of course, you are a venture capitalist, and so we're here today to learn about Serra Ventures and everything that you guys do here in Central Illinois and beyond. So why don't you give us a little background on the company and how it got started?
Terrific. Our firm, Serra Ventures, LLC, was founded by Tim Hare. Many people around the community in Champaign-Urbana and Central Illinois know Tim through not only his work at Serra Ventures, but prior to that with a company called Source Gear and then a company called Eyesight. And that's where Tim and I kind of really engaged in a big way. We've known each other for quite a few years, but Tim co-founded Eyesight with Gary Durack, a company that made scientific equipment, scientific instruments, cytometry. And through my work with Open Prairie Ventures, which is another company that we do a lot of work with and help with investing, they're a traditional venture capital firm based in Effingham, Illinois. I led an investment round from Open Prairie into Eyesight back in 2008, joined with other investors who were already in place. Illinois Ventures was there, several angel investors, Fox and Atkins firms were invested in that, and it was a great investment for us. I took a board seat when we made our investment from Open Prairie, and therefore worked very closely with Gary and with Tim and the other board members, John Banta from Illinois Ventures. And lo and behold, despite the tough economic times, that company really slugged it out through there, and the company was eventually acquired by Sony, part of Sony Biotechnology, and they still maintain the office right next door to us here in the research park. Through that transition, Tim left Eyesight and started doing some consulting for early stage companies here in the research park. I had been working closely with Tim and had a little bit of extra bandwidth and started doing some consulting with some startups myself, and we decided to throw in together. And that's how we started working together under the banner of Serra Ventures. And interestingly, and we can expand on this later if you'd like, but one of the first things we found out is people need help, of course. All entrepreneurs do, all of us do. But there was really a need in this community for sort of micro VC level, very early stage capital, equity capital. And we decided to do something about that. We had some money of our own, and then we also engaged some other investors that we knew throughout the area and pooled it together and formed a micro VC fund that we called Serra Capital One, which we started launching. We launched in 2010.
And just to clarify for our listeners, we're talking about the research park at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign here in Central Illinois. And Serra Ventures is embedded in the research park. Eyesight is a biotech company there at the park, and really one of our greatest success stories to date with the buyout by Sony, and then of course that led it was really that catalyzed in a way the creation of Serra Ventures. It sounds like you becoming a board member and then getting to know Tim, and away you guys go.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. That was the event that really pushed us together.
That's awesome. So that was so Serra is how old now?
We started the firm to consult late 2009, early 2010, and we really got a boost from our initial plan of just doing consulting and providing advisory services from the University Research Park when Laura Frericks and the team at the Enterprise Works wanted to engage us as entrepreneurs in residence. Tim had been CEO at Eyesight. I had been CEO of a healthcare services company. Both of us have primarily financial backgrounds and service backgrounds, but we both run companies. I've been a CFO and controller of technology companies. So they felt that we would be a nice addition to the entrepreneur in residence team. So we started making relationships with a lot of the startup companies at the U of I. We still had a lot of contacts outside of the Champaign-Urbana area throughout the Midwest through our other work. And that really got us kicking. So we were originally just doing this consulting, and then we thought, we need a fund also because these entrepreneurs need funding. And so we kicked that off a few months later in 2010 and made our first investment in the fourth quarter of 2010.
Okay. So you decided that there was a need for early stage companies to get more funding, which is a universal, but obviously we didn't really have a venture company except perhaps Illinois Ventures,
right,
that was working in central or dedicated to Champaign-Urbana, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that process of fundraising. That's one of the sides of venture capital that we don't really hear a whole lot about in the public eye, but it is in many respects analogous to the fundraising that entrepreneurs do.
That's a great observation that a lot of people miss. We're entrepreneurs as well. So what we've done is we work together to form a limited partnership, and we ask accredited investors. Entrepreneurs who've raised money will know this story inside and out. We go out and solicit accredited investors to make commitments to put funding into our fund. One thing that's a little bit misunderstood is if someone wants to make a commitment to put $100,000 into a fund or $1 million into a fund, you don't write a check for that amount on the first day. You're making a commitment to make the fund. And as we identify investments, we call the capital in from our investors. So it's a great way for people that want to participate in our target investment area, in our case early stage technology companies. It's a great way for them to participate in the community without having to do a lot of heavy lifting. We do the heavy lifting for them. We identify the companies, do the due diligence, and stand alongside the entrepreneurs to help them succeed.
Wonderful. And so you know the trials and tribulations that entrepreneurs go through when wooing investors, and I would imagine now that you've been through that and you've had a run, and you have some success stories now under your belt, and you close that first Serra 1 fund, and now you're in the midst of a Serra 2 fund. Is the fundraising on your side, is it getting any easier?
It doesn't feel like it. Although I should say our second fund, which we're raising and adding new investors now, we have quite a bit more commitments for the second fund than we did the first, which is natural. When you're starting to have some success, you can attract more investors and you can attract larger investors. So our first fund was a little over $5 million in commitments. And we spread that money out over several companies, about 24 companies. Our second fund, we started attracting investors and bringing in money in December. We're still adding new investors. We're well over 10 million now in commitments, and rapidly progressing toward 15, and we'd like to get it quite a bit higher than that. We'd love to get in the $25 million range. That'll give us more bandwidth to do follow-on in our companies as they grow and need more money. Is it easier? It's still hard work. I think as we get more successes, and I'm very confident we're going to have successes in our portfolio. We have terrific entrepreneurs in our portfolio that are working hard. As they get successful with their companies, it will become easier. I mean, we hear stories about the big firms on the West Coast that send out a letter to their investment community, and then the money just comes in. We're far from that, but maybe someday. That's what we're dreaming about.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the first fund and some of the investments that you made and how some of those are playing out. What are some success stories that you'd like to highlight?
A couple of companies that I've been involved with that I'm really pleased with. One is Personify, which, Tim, I think that's a company you're familiar with.
Yes, very much.
Launched by a couple of engineering professors here at the University of Illinois. It provides a telepresence for live and recorded video presentations. It's a very inexpensive tool that does wonderful things if you use a depth camera, like a Sony Connect type camera. Allows you to have a virtual green screen effect, effectively be part of your presentation and walk around inside that PowerPoint or inside that spreadsheet you're presenting. So you're like the weatherman. And what studies have shown is it improves the engagement level of the audience. And that company is now getting significant traction with large enterprises who are adopting this this tool for their training and their sales programs. Worldwide companies, names of companies you would recognize, companies like John Deere and SAP and Oracle and so on. It's a really fun ride right now with that company because it's starting to be successful. It has revenues and it's got a substantial team that's very talented.
Yeah, we had Sanjay on the show, and so he gave us a live demonstration of the technology.
Terrific.
It is very compelling. I could see how it is a very effective sales and educational tool. And I have yet to ramp up on the tool myself, but I got a camera, and I just have to learn how to use it. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, and it's very affordable, which is a wonderful thing about it. This is not a $5,000 package that you need expensive equipment to maintain. You could buy a $125 camera and a very affordable monthly or annual subscription package. It really is useful for even individuals and small businesses. That's not who we're targeting with our market right now. We found a lot of professors are starting to use it for recorded lectures. It's really an exciting ride.
Yeah, with the growth of distance learning and telecommuting and conference call, video conference calling, there's no doubt that that is the future. And not only with a PC interface, but on our telephones and tablets and any mobile device, that 3D camera technology is coming. We just saw that. 3D, there are now smartphones with multiple cameras on the front side coming out, so giving you that 3D. So right. That's coming.
Yeah, it's all coming, and it's terrific. A couple other companies I thought I should mention quickly that we've invested in that we're very excited about and seem to be very active with at the moment. One's a Chicago-based company called Clearstream TV. And the folks at Clearstream, Brian Mandelbaum is the founder and CEO, they have developed algorithms and technologies and services to help advertisers on the web who are advertising via video to pre-screen the programming that they're going to run their ad in front of and to also measure the performance metrics of that ad. And Brian is a computer systems engineer with a significant experience in the advertising industry, and he has put a package together that really appeals to choosy video ad advertisers. So, for example, if you have an ad for your company, you don't want it to run in front of certain types of content or don't want it to run in front of negative news stories, he can make sure that that doesn't happen. And you pay a small premium to make that happen. It's really resonating. Interestingly, one of his big clients is British Petroleum. And after the problems they had a few years ago, they're being very choosy about where their online ads run. They want the right image. We tell the example about McDonald's. One of their folks said, "Hey, we're agnostic. We appeal to everybody." And Brian says, "But you don't want to run your ad in front of a news article about obesity, now, do you?" And of course not. And so they're getting tons of traction. The company took off very rapidly once they fine-tuned their strategy, and it's a wonderful ride. It's going to be a success story for us. The other one I would mention is another Champaign-Urbana-based company, and Tim, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, called Snapshot Energy, and they're using algae loop technology to process waste into biocrude. And that company started in the laboratories here at the university, and now they have a prototype plant in the ag farm where they're processing pig waste and making very usable biocrude, and it has attracted attention of several companies now. And the next step will probably be to build a larger production facility somewhere in conjunction maybe with a municipality or a big farm operation to continue to do that. And the team there is doing a terrific job.
Cool, yeah, that waste to energy biofuel space is obviously a hot space, and I'm glad to see a company right here in the research park working on that tech. I don't know them intimately, but of course I've heard of them. Anybody else you want to talk about? And then what I'd like to talk about is the entrepreneurial ecosystem and any trends that you see as a venture capitalist, and then we should touch on UCAN and other elements in the ecosystem that make Champaign such a great place.
Well, you know, I hate to go into listing the deals and companies that we've invested in because I leave somebody out. I'm going to mention one company. I was just in a meeting this morning with Chris Harbort from Ag Informatics and Agribul, and they're a technology information source for the farm and agricultural community. And it's a team of soil scientists, climate people, and information technology that provide a very affordable source of information for farmers that's beautifully tailored to their unique geographies. Every farm field can get daily reports using their technology on moisture, temperature, wind, all kinds of information like that. And it's very affordable and very useful, and they're in the process of striking some interesting joint ventures with other ag information providers and equipment and seed companies. It's a very exciting time in the ag space, and one thing we love about the ag space, we're looking at other opportunities in the ag space, is we're in the epicenter of ag technology right here in the Midwest. So with colleges in our footprint, like University of Illinois, Purdue University, Michigan State University, Iowa State University, these are all campuses that we're familiar with, Wisconsin at Madison. We're seeing wonderful technologies, and it's interesting that the coastal investors are looking to us for leadership in these kinds of investments. So it's very exciting for us.
You think about food, you know, and ag in general, right? It is such a big part of the economy. Obviously, here in the Midwest, we're sitting on some of the world's greatest farmland, and so it is fitting that us being such a strong engineering hub and you know, Center for Technology, that there would be a lot of ag tech. So now I just wanted one clarification. Are they using remote sensing, or is it some combination of on the ground and remote sensing?
What Ag Informatics is using is they're using information that's out there in different spots. They've learned how to go grab information from U.S. government data, NOAA weather data, climate information, and just pull it together. And they've made a difficult information grab very easy for the ultimate user. So they're not using sensing now, although I should add that they are in talks with different people who have sensing capabilities, and they can certainly combine with other sources of information, including other sources directly in the farm equipment. You know, if you're on a combine today, there's a lot of data being gathered right there on the spot, and if you can combine it with information they have, it can become very useful. They can give you information, for example, on how is the soil today, as far as should we be putting a tractor out there on that ground right now before we load everything up and drive a few miles over to a particular field. What's the soil moisture right now? Are we going to cause too much damage, or is it not going to be workable? I mean, it's a very practical thing. But I know farmers myself that have farm that they land that they farm that's very spread out miles and miles away, and so it provides an easy source. You can get an email at 5 a.m. that shows you what the moisture content is in every field that you farm. It's terrific and nice. These fellows have been working with this kind of data for years. These men and women, and they know how to gather it in a useful way and put it in a way that's useful for the farmer.
Yep. There's a whole revolution going on there with real-time feedback. You know, as the combine is going through the field, it's telling the farmer what their yield is and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's great. Well, let's talk a little more about the ecosystem at large. I wanted to address UCAN, which is the Urbana-Champaign Angels Network.
Right.
We're lucky enough to have a real live angel network here, and Sarah plays a fundamental role in that. What is UCAN, and more importantly, how do people, entrepreneurs and business owners, interface with UCAN?
Well, UCAN was launched here when the folks at the EDC and in the community at the Enterprise Works, Illinois Ventures, ourselves, a few other people that are active investors and entrepreneurs here realized we have a need, and boy, we could sure use more investors to help these companies launch in this particular neighborhood. We were looking to the west at the Central Illinois Angels Network in Peoria and a couple of prominent groups in Chicago, such as the Hyde Park Angels. and seeing how that they were having some success and had really done a great job of pulling investors together. So we had long conversations with those folks about how they're organized, and then we proposed putting something together here. And the EDC took the lead role in helping get the initial funding in place. We brought in Lee O'Neill, who's been a terrific resource in helping to get angels as members. And basically, Lee O'Neill leads the effort to try to find angels, individuals who have an interest in investing in the tech community and the startup community here, and brings them on as members of the community. They pay a small fee to join and jump in. They get invited to the meetings. Every quarter or so, we schedule a meeting where we choose a small group of entrepreneurs to make a pitch to the group. The purpose of the pitch is to explain your business and meet the angels and let the relationships begin at that point. And every year we're getting better and better. I think we're in our 4th year. Every year we're getting better and better at matching those angels to those entrepreneurs. In other words, a higher percentage of the entrepreneurs are attracting investment dollars from our angels every time. It's up to each angel to make an investment decision. You aren't bound by the group, and so you can pick and choose. And we're usually seeing anywhere from 3 to 5 companies pitch every quarter. And it's also a great way to sort of network and get into the community and see what others are doing and keep tabs on what's going on. And a lot of times we're co-investing at Serra with those actual angels.
Yeah, I have to say I've been very impressed with the quality of the entrepreneurs that are pitching at UCAN. I have the pleasure of working with a number of those companies as an advisor at the Small Business Development Center here at the EDC. And beyond, of course, getting access to angels and their resources, it is just a great way for the community to connect with one another, whether you're an entrepreneur, an advisor, or an investor. What are the criteria for an individual to become an angel investor?
For an investor to join, first of all, they need to be an accredited investor by the SEC rules, and there are wealth and income minimums on that. And as I mentioned, there's an upfront fee. There's a fee to join, and then there's an annual dues fee after that. And beyond that, it's just taking an interest and trying to be active. We don't right now have a minimum investment amount or anything like that. We'd love to get to that to encourage it, but it may not be necessary, and that we've been getting some pretty active investment levels going on with the companies. Attend the meetings. We tend to do them at breakfast once a quarter somewhere in the Champaign-Urbana community. We've had it at the I Hotel. We've had it at the Hilton Garden Inn. We've had it at Carl. We've had it at the College of Business. Different places. And we tend to have 30 to 40 people show up for a light breakfast and coffee, and then pitches and Q&A and a chance to network with the entrepreneurs and the other angels at the end. The whole event takes 2.5 hours, and it's really a lot of fun. And of course it's about making good investments, but there's more to it than just the investment side of it as well.
Sure. So people can, if anybody's interested in getting in touch with UCAN, they can find them on the Champaign County EDC.org website. There's a link to UCAN right there at the top, or of course they can contact Serra Ventures, serraventures.com, S-E-R-R-A ventures.com.
That's correct.
We're about out of time. I really appreciate you coming on the show, Dennis. This is CU150, episode 9. Today is May 15th, 2014. And we've been talking with Dennis Beard, who is a vice president at Serra Ventures and very active in the angel and early stage technology investment community here in Champaign-Urbana. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tim. It's been a pleasure.
I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Same here.
All right. Take care.